What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Coffee with Colin. My name is Colin Egglesfield, and this is the show that inspires you to be your best self. Speaking of, we had an amazing summit yesterday. Thank you so much for everyone who participated. Thank you to all of my guest speakers. We had such an incredible turnout. It was 6 hours of inspiration, motivation, prize giveaways, yoga, meditation. And we are already planning the next one for October. This one will be in person in Chicago. So if you are interested in being a part of the Inspire community, would love for you to be able to come to Chicago into the Windy City in October. So stay tuned for information on how you can participate in that. And tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I am so excited because we have someone who you are absolutely going to love if you don't love her already. She is a television host. She's an entrepreneur. She's a fitness educator. She's a philanthropist. She has her own podcast called Intimate Knowledge. She has written 2 books that I can't wait to ask her about. And she won Dancing with the Stars, which I am excited to ask her about as well, because as you all know, if you don't know by now, that's my dream, to be on Dancing with the Stars. So we'll see what Brooke has to say about that. Any tips and insight on all that good stuff. But I was talking to her a little bit before this, and it seems like we've got a lot in common. We were mentioning that we are essentially, in a lot of ways, the same person. So she's essentially the female version of me, which I think is a pretty great thing. So without further ado, let's bring her to the stage, Miss Brooke Burke, ladies and gentlemen.
Hi, thanks for having me. It's nice to meet the male version of me.
Yeah. We actually kind of look alike as well. This is incredible.
Amazing. Well, I love what you're doing, and we have so much to talk about.
Yes.
Let's dive right in, because I heard you say one of the dreams is to do Dancing with the Stars.
Yes.
Whoa.
Yes. Yeah. So is it what it looks like on TV? I've heard it's exceptionally difficult. Cameron Matheson, who I worked with on My Children, had him on the show a few weeks ago, and he was saying it was one of the hardest things he's ever done.
I've known Cameron for a long time, love what he's doing as well. It is the hardest thing I have ever done in my life, including childbirth 4 times. No joke. Thrilling. It's interesting because I love hosting live television, and I wanted to dance on the show more than I ever thought about being the host. That wasn't even a dream at the time, because it's so vulnerable and people have such an opportunity to see you, just the real you, uncensored, out of your comfort zone. It is so hard. I mean, it was at the time a 7-day-a-week commitment. I wasn't a dancer. I love to dance. I love music, but it was really learning how to do something that you've never done before, being judged for it, putting it on live, like No BS live. And at the time, there were 10 to 15 million viewers. It was like Idol and Dancing with, it was such a terrifying. And I remember going through the process and thinking, why do I keep choosing these scary jobs? Why don't I just
all right. Like, why do I do this? Why
am I doing this? And I had just given birth to my 4th child, my baby boy, Shia. He was 3 or 4 months old. So I was hormonal. I was exhausted. I had 4 kids at home, a man, dogs. And there I was, like, training, and my body was still healing. So I could go on and on. It was the ride of my life. But I also want to say that I learned the most valuable lessons of my life on that show, more than just, thinking it's another reality competition show. I learned how to train like an athlete. I learned how to find faith in my body. I learned what it was like to forget every single thing that I thought I knew 2 minutes before live and go, holy shit, what am I doing? I don't remember. Do I go left? Do I go right? Like I've been training 8 hours a day how do I know nothing? I learned the power of fear. I learned the power of faith. And I think everybody goes through this, like, quarter way through, like some midway through the season, where you just want to quit. And I'm not a quitter in my life. And I literally, you almost hope that you injure your way out of it because it's hard. And I remember my husband at the time saying, what's the message to your kids and, like, to women, and why are you really doing this and you're not quitting? And I remember being in the shower at night, like, crying, taking an Epsom salt bath in the morning to go to work. Yeah. I had like a pulled hamstring. I mean, I could go on and on. Like, I have goosebumps remembering the life lessons.
How many hours a day were you training?
Well, I really struggled with the choreography. So I was working harder and smarter and longer than anyone else, which I really attribute to success in all areas of life. I didn't take a day off. Some people do. The choreography was really challenging for me. I was probably 8 hours a day or till your body can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
You can't eat a lot. You're losing weight. You're drinking shakes with like fat and peanut butter and chocolate. It was so bananas. But I learned how to show up and how to stick it out. And I never thought I would make it far. I wanted to make it like 2 weeks. And then there was a moment in time, and I wrote about this in my first book with Derek and I were like, we're here. We have to meet each other with compassion. We might as well get it to win it. He had never won before. So this was Derek's first championship. And he's like, like amazing.
Yeah.
He was so young. I was like a mother of 4. He was like a little punk. He was so green. And we're like, you know what? Let's like get our head in the right place and do this. And it was amazing, amazing, terrifying, hard, scary, painful, thrilling, all things.
Yeah.
All things.
Who was your major competitors?
At the time, it was Warren Sapp, who was like America's teddy bear, NFL, big hunk of love, huge, big smile. America loved him. He had rhythm. He just had this smile that lit up the screen. Yeah. Also, Lance Bass was in my season.
Okay. Yeah.
Kim Kardashian was in my season.
No way. How far did she go?
Say that again.
How far did she go into?
Not far.
Not far.
And like, with all due respect, I mean, it was kind of like the beginning of her climb, and she was terrified. And so, we look at her as like this icon of confidence and all things. And her opening song was, I like Big Butt. Baby's Got Back. It was Baby's Got Back. And I was like, this is so brilliant. I'm like, all she has to do is get out there and get down. Yeah. The whole world. This is like, what am I even doing here? It was such a hot mess. And so that was the end of that. But you know what? I got the lowest scores in all-time history of Dancing with the Stars on the semifinals. I forgot my dance. I had my mom, my nephew, my daughters, my husband front row. Great dance. We were doing the jive. And I literally, it was like crickets. I just forgot the whole thing. So bad that I couldn't get back into it. I was like, I wanted to crawl under the rug and never go out there again. I was like, God, why am I doing this? Like, I can't.
This is such a good lesson though. Because so many people in life won't even do something like that for fear of that very thing.
I manifested it. I literally, I was so afraid of it that I manifested it. And the good news is that America voted for me because it was so bad.
See, there you go. And you fail forward. That's what I always say. Just fail forward. And
I had to dig deep. And Derek said to me backstage, because I really was like, I can never get out there again. I was so frightened, so humiliated. And he goes, you know what? That's what makes a champion. You got to figure it out right now. We're going to go back out there, figure it out, like find your faith. We've come this far. And then we went out there and did a salsa and got a perfect score, and we ended up winning. But I'm telling you, it was a miracle. And I would say do it. I would be really honest with anyone and say that it is so hard, but it challenges you. It brings out your true colors. It gives America a chance to really know you. We come from the entertainment industry. We're great at dialogue. We rehearse things. But it gives you a chance to just face all your stuff.
Yep.
And I can tell that you're that man, and you've been through a lot. And I would say yes. And of course they would have you do it. Yeah. Do you want me to call them right now?
Yeah, let's call them right now, Brooke, please.
By the way, of course you should do it. And you also have a lovely personality. And, part of that is how you connect with people. It's not really what a great dancer you are. It's the journey and the struggle.
Well, we've got a lot of really great people here who absolutely love you. We've got Aaron Stay here who said, I voted for you. You did amazing. We've got Elisa, Elizabeth, Yami, Viviana. If anyone has a question for Brooke, please just post it in the chat there on the right hand side. And Brooke, would you say because in dance, most of the time, men are leading the woman in the dance. Would you say it's harder for a man to win Dancing with the Stars than a woman?
It's such a great question. I want to say no, and here's why. And I didn't know this. it's a better performance because the female pros are so beautiful and so bedazzled, and they're so like elegant in their movements that they almost steal the show. So a beautiful pro dancer could kind of
stand there and just
make up for, because you're the leading man, right? And they get to do like all the feminine, beautiful things. So I think it's almost easier for a man to win because they can go twirling and the hair and the lashes, you know, where I was just like, how the hell, like, who do I think I am? How the hell am I going to do this? And then you do it. You show up for yourself. You show up for your partner. You show up for you just do it. And that's kind of like what I believe in life. You just show up for yourself first. I learned that on that show. And that's why athletes do so well, because they are like much under pressure. Like they know in the pressure, they know how to show up. Most people like us, we're like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me?
Yep. So I'd like to get into that. So how did you end up in the whole Hollywood scene? Was it something you wanted to do from an early age, or did you find yourself accidentally in it somehow, like myself?
Probably like you, kind of accidentally. I studied broadcast journalism. I thought I was going to be this badass businesswoman. I never thought about entertainment. I come from Tucson, Arizona, super simple family. I went with a boyfriend at the time who was a model to a modeling agency, and they were like, "Oh, would you like to maybe be a model?" And I was small too. I'm like 5'7". I'm really 5'6". I say I'm 5'7", but I'm too little.
Kate Moss is 5'6".
I'm too little to be a model.
Tall enough.
But I was like, sure. So it was just one thing after the other, and then I won an acting scholarship that sent me out to Los Angeles. I came out here on my 18th birthday, like with my dog, totally green, totally naive. You know, a girl from a country town, and not country, but like I say that because country music, I love country music. And my dad was just like, go be who you're supposed to be. And you can always come home. And I wanted to come home many times, but I came out here, finished studying, and thought I wanted to be a journalist, and then started understanding what a hard job that is to do news, living out of the vending machine all night long. And a friend encouraged me to go audition to take this meeting for Wild on E when I was like 20. I was like 26, 27 years old. And I went in a pair of jeans. I wasn't super invested in it because it wasn't my dream. We ended up kind of shooting the shit for 3 hours. And then like, we want to go to Spain and do a trial show. I'm like, yeah, sure. And then I just learned on the job. And it's one of those stories that pains people because I believe in vision, and I believe in perseverance. And I also, in our business, I want to say this delicately, tell me what you think, but, I believe in luck and circumstance, and I don't think you wait for a lucky moment, but I think I took advantage of the right steps and opportunities. And, on the flip side, I tried a million other things and heard no 1,000 times, so I guess that was my gig. And then that led, one thing led to another. But
would you say acting is part of your passion as well?
I would say that it could have been and maybe should have been, but I got pregnant when I signed my contract at E. Okay. And I always wanted to be a mom. And I got signed to be the bikini model to travel the world for Wild On. And I was like, guys, I'm going to throw you a little curveball. I'm pregnant. And so I started my family, and having 4 kids, I always put them first. And I was a little bit afraid that if I really took that serious, how would I go on the road and pursue that dream? Because I don't know how to do anything halfway. Yeah. How do I go on location for 3 months? And so I just made my family a priority, and not to say that you can't do all of it, because I really believe that you can. And I tell women that you can. I just chose to stay in Los Angeles. And then I was blessed to be able to work in the business in Los Angeles. So, but yeah, I don't know. Damn it, I probably missed that. Was that your dream, or did it just?
No, I was a biology major, pre-med, University of Iowa. My senior year, I heard on the radio about same thing, model talent search thing. I went to this thing. A few months later, I found myself in Milan, Italy, doing Giorgio Armani's runway show and Gianni Versace. And I was like, this is amazing. There's like Elton John and Brad Pitt front row of the Versace fashion show. And then I found myself in New York City. I was like, oh, this will last like 2 or 3 years, and then I'll go to medical school. And I started auditioning for some commercials. And much like what you were just saying, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. So I would just show up and booked a Folgers coffee commercial and just a Pontiac.
Thank God for the commercials we booked along the way, though,
oh
right?
My God. Yeah, those kept me alive.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Stocked my cabinet with ramen noodles.
Yeah, been there. I think that's why, maybe people like us like walk in grace, and we really understand it. But do you think that because I'm going to say we, because I think we're so similar, it wasn't like live, breathe, and sleep it, like dying in that desperation, and that it just sort of happened, and like you going and trying something. I don't want to say I didn't take it too seriously, but I just had this sort of zest for life and this carefree kind of attitude. Yeah. And I think that worked in my favor,
Yeah, I think we're very similar in that sense, because I'm very competitive. I don't quit, but I'm not like a do or die where I've got to have this or I'm going to, kill myself. Like
people in our business.
And it's the jobs that I just went into them with this sense of, you know what? I'm going to let what happens happen. And I've done the work. And what acting has given to me in my life is it's forced me to know that I have to do the work. But once you get to the opportunity to be able to do the audition, you got to let go. Yeah. You got to just let go, let God, however you want to say that, and just trust that the work is going to be there. That is the hardest thing, though, because as someone who grew up studying biology and having to know that I have to get these answers and do it right and get A's on my report card, we get drilled into our head that we have to do it a certain way in order to make sure that it works. And with acting, it's just like there's 1,000,001 ways that you can do it. And at first it's like, your brain is like, well, what is the right way? And my teachers just kept drilling into us, there is no right way.
Yeah, I love that.
It's just the way that you do it. And so just let go, trust the process, trust that you're good enough and that you are enough. And that took a while for me, but it was the best thing that could have ever happened to me in my life.
I mean, especially as a young man, I love that you said that so much, because I kind of carry that through in a lot of philosophies that I teach now in my wellness business, that trust is like, there's something about faith. And, just going back quickly to Dancing with the Stars, when I didn't have faith in my body, I was so afraid that I forgot. And that's when it was the disastrous, semifinals. When I think in life, when you learn to have faith, and that's a hard lesson to teach, I try to teach my children that, but, trusting your own body, trusting your process, right? Trusting that, sounds like we probably both believe that we'll land where we're supposed to land and what's meant to be. It's easier said than done. Like as a young man, as a younger woman, I mean, we don't know that. We don't know the ease of like that surrender, right? Right. Yeah. I love that. Trust.
Definitely a lot of trust.
Yeah.
A lot of trust. Amy Krause has a question. She says, as a mom, what is the top life lesson that you would want your kids to have?
Wow. I thought she was going to say, what's the life lesson that I learned from being a mom? So, okay, what do I want the life lesson I want my kids to have? It's kind of simple for me. It's loaded. It's not a simple answer to the question, but I really want my kids to have purpose. And I think as a young person, I want to say even as a young woman, even in my 20s and my 30s, trying to define that, trying to figure out like, who is your human? Like, who are you? And that could be graduating from college, having a degree, being a professional, being an artist, whatever it is that they want to do, being a philanthropist. Like I encourage them to try all things, but just purpose, I think, gives life meaning. I think it gives you connection. I think it makes you a conscious human being. So I'm a little like gooey, hippy dippy, and like the things that I teach people, but just purpose. Like I say to my kids sometimes, like, do something that matters. Like I get really on them when they're on the phone and they're so disconnected in social media and our digital world. It's such a challenge. I try to embrace it, but I'm also like a little bit of a Nazi mom on them about that. Yeah. But I always say, like, what are you doing that matters? And that could be anything. So I just want them to have purpose. I want to have purpose. You know, it took me a long time to figure that out.
Yeah. Do you police them on social media? How do you monitor them?
I trust them, and I don't do a lot of blocks, but I give them wiggle room and privileges and have them follow certain rules. And I tell all my kids, because I have 4, you know, I'll trust you until I don't trust you. And then if I don't trust you, you like this whole world, all this goes away. I tell my kids, do you like your life? Because all this goes away, which is a little hardcore. I was raised by a New York Middle Eastern father there was no room for error. But I give them a lot of trust. And I also tell them, hopefully they're not going to see this. I also tell them, like, there'll be like a series of checks. Like if mommy or daddy like wants to check, like I pay the phone bill. Like I have full access to everything. I really don't. But it's like to be accountable, you know, and I want my kids right now in this day and age to know that anything you text anybody, anything you think goes away on Snapchat, anything you think that is like this instant, no, it is. Yeah. It can be captured. It will come back to haunt you. We didn't have to deal with that. Can you imagine, Colin, if we had social media or, you know, in school, college, like the things that, thank God we didn't. So they have a lot to manage. And I'm really compassionate about that, but they have some life lessons there that they don't have the judgment. Like we would never, ever. Yeah. It's like, you know, even if you go out and you've got your party on, I'm like, don't check your emails, don't text anybody, and don't post anything on social media. Rule number 1.
I mean, it's hard enough navigating what pimple cream and, you know, things to wear in high school, let alone, I mean, all the social media and the comments and I couldn't even imagine.
Hard.
So speaking of family, so you are married.
Well, I'm not married anymore.
Not anymore?
Like my husband, I should. Yeah, I've been married twice, but that's okay. I'm in a relationship now that's amazing. And I guess it feels kind of like that. But I know I keep referring to my husband, so my bad, not yours.
Okay. I'm single, and I've been through plenty of relationships, and even though they haven't worked out, I've learned something from each one of them. What would you say are some key success factors in having a successful relationship with your partner?
Gosh, you know, it's such a great question because I'm always studying and researching and trying to learn from my past and learn from my mistakes. And I try not to use the word failure, but, you know, having a blended family and 4 kids and 2 divorces, you have to learn, like you have to carry that forward. Obvious stuff, communication. And I will say, like, at my age as a woman, I really take ownership to anything that doesn't feel right. Not to take the blame for it, but I try to make sure that I define my own boundaries, that I express my needs, my wishes, my desires, that I'm able to talk about what doesn't feel right when it's not feeling right, not like pocketing it and letting resentment build. And
was that something that you had to encourage yourself to do more of later on in life?
Yeah, I think if I had been good at that, marriage number 2, you know, both of us, I mean, it would have been a different dance. But just as a woman, I mean, man, I shouldn't even say as a woman, learning how to express your feelings and learning how to do it in a loving way. I think I was really hot-headed younger, and I think I didn't have clear boundaries. I was probably a bad picker. I was probably... you just don't know. You just don't know. And in my marriages, I think I fought a good fight to really keep them together. But I take responsibility for like what I didn't do, and that I wasn't able to meet my partner in a stronger space of, hey, I need this, or I don't like this, or can we work on this, or that doesn't feel right, or this is starting to not feel right, or maybe we need to explore this or have less of that. Like, I think that takes maturity and time. And confidence. And I'm still learning. Like I'm still trying to figure it out. Relationships are really hard, really hard.
Definitely a lot of communication and providing a safe space where your partner can say what really is on their mind without them feeling like you're just gonna fly off the handle and be upset and criticize. I think you've got to agree to want to be able to communicate and have that higher purpose goal in mind. My mom always described it as there's the man and the woman, and then there's the relationship, and there's things that you need to do for each other, but then there's things that you have to do for the relationship to make sure that the success of the relationship is as important as the needs of each of your individual needs, which I always thought was some really good advice.
That's great advice. Yeah, I mean, I think we lose our sense of self when we're younger, and it just becomes this obsession, this intoxicated feeling. Maybe it's all about the person. And hopefully as we get older, we learn how to care for ourselves. We learn the value of me time.
Yeah.
We learn, I'm in a really healthy relationship right now. I don't know if I had a really healthy one before, because I don't know that I knew how to find freedom in my own needs and giving, and then being a mom in your reproductive years. And it's just as women, it's such a bittersweet curse that we can give and give and give. And we're so good at taking care of everyone else, and maybe you don't take care of yourself, or maybe you don't take care of your kid. I mean, it's so loaded. But what you said about a safe place, I think that in friendship, in creative work, in love, even raising a child, if we can create a safe space, like hold a safe space, then aren't we free then to explore our feelings and to be honest? So what you said, we have to feel safe. We have to make our partners feel safe. Our friends, everybody, like just to meet people with respect and like a safe place.
Yes. Learning to disagree with respect is key.
Yeah.
As well. But speaking of taking care of yourself, you are absolutely gorgeous, if you don't mind me saying so.
Yeah.
And you obviously take great care of yourself.
Thank you.
So I've created this community called the Inspire community, and I love taking care of myself as a cancer survivor. You are also a cancer survivor. Would love to hear your thoughts on what you learned through your cancer journey, how you got through it, and what is it about health and wellness that you are so passionate about?
Gosh, health and wellness has always been a big part of my life. It wasn't a business until, the last 3 or 4 years. And because I'm so mindful of how I care for myself, I think younger, it was more vanity. Now, today, it's more about longevity and my mental well-being and connecting all those dots. But finding out that I had cancer was, and I'd love to hear, your take on it too, was so unbelievable.
How old were you when you were diagnosed?
I'm sorry?
How old were you?
It was 2012, so early 40s. And I was in the middle of working for ABC and hosting, and I had my kids, and I was really taking care of myself.
And do you mind sharing what type of cancer you had?
I don't mind at all. Thyroid cancer. So I have an autoimmune disease called Hashimoto's. So I always had an irregular thyroid, always took medication, kind of found that sweet spot, worked to understand that, which is so common. And I went to a regular physical, and my doctor felt like a little nodule, but nothing. I didn't even know it was there. Dr. Heise is amazing. Those 2-hour annoying physicals, everybody, it will tell you everything you need to know about your body. The most valuable thing I learned in that process was we have access to so much information. Get your mammograms, get your physicals, do the things that are available today, because they're markers just, to learn about our body. And he was like, oh, I feel something a little weird, that you should go check that. And I thought, okay, I did. And had a biopsy, and it came back undecisive. And he was like, you can come back in 6 months. I don't want you to worry about it if you're not a worrier. And I wasn't a worrier. I was a pretty chill person. And I was like, I really need to know what's going on. And I'm not suggesting that that's for everybody, but I was thinking about life, kids, family, and also just knowledge. So sure enough, I went and I did like 7 biopsies with another doctor, which is also hard to diagnose, to get the right doctor, and to follow your intuition. I'm really big on my intuition, and not to be a hypochondriac and think you know more than the doctors know. But I was like, I need info. So sure enough, it was. And I had a complete thyroidectomy. My scar tells that story. And it just made me realize that sometimes there are things larger than us, more powerful than us. I was like, cancer? What? I remember I was on the phone with the doctor. I was like, okay, I'm going to get back to you. I'll get back to you like in a few weeks.
Yeah.
No, Brooke.
Yeah. I can't deal with this right now.
I couldn't. I was like, I don't even have time for cancer.
Yeah.
I'm going to call you. He goes, no. You got to process this. And then it was sort of like you, I imagine you're sort of shocked and you're like, no. Yeah. And then I just got down in the care and putting together the right team and kind of preparing my family and figuring out the kids and doing a lot of research and really becoming a great patient. And thyroid cancer, you know, the diagnosis and the, you know, prognosis, it's good. It's really good. And I think that's why I was so open about it too, is to be able to guide other people, because there's a lot of fear related to it.
Yeah.
But it changed me in that it made me realize that things happen in life and it's really what you do with them, you know?
Yeah. There's Alicia Suarez here says she has Hashimoto and she would truly appreciate any information you can provide and any suggestions.
You know, it's tricky. I don't know how long she's had it. It's really about getting your blood work regularly and kind of rolling through, finding out the right prescription dose so that as women we have energy and we feel good. And there's so many things that are complicated about our bodies, and a lot of people struggle with that. And it's little bit of a journey. But I've had Hashimoto's for 20 years and I've taken medication for it for 20 years and I never miss it, like my cup of coffee in the morning. And I'm really okay. So the good news is that it's very manageable and we have to take care of ourselves and get those regular checkups. It's just, we have to, right?
Yeah. So when I got my cancer diagnosis, there's that little voice in your head that can just go in this loop of, oh my God, am I going to die? Am I going to, like, what does this mean? And to quiet that, I would just have to shift my focus to, okay, I was working on all my children at the time. So thankfully I had a lot of dialogue to focus on and memorize, but I would, whenever that thought would come up, if I entertained it, I would just go into this like crazy place of just depression and anxiety. So whenever it would come up, I would just try to shift my focus to, okay, what's that?
How old were you?
I was 33. So yesterday, one of my speakers was a ex-professional football player. His name is Desmond Clark. And his theme of what he talked about yesterday was focus on the things you can control. And I think and now looking back, that's exactly what I did. And I would say that's the best piece of advice I would recommend to anyone out there dealing with any sort of health issues. Because we can worry ourselves to death with stuff that's just out of our control. What was it that helped you get through that? What was it that you focused on? What was your mindset when you went through all that?
I agree with what you said. I kind of made a commitment to be really positive. I was scared. Yes, you do hear, I have cancer, I'm going to die. That's kind of, I don't think doctors realize when you're sitting down and you get news and they give you, like I just had ACL surgery 4 weeks ago. I hurt my knee skiing. And I remember being in the office. I didn't even think I had an ACL detachment. And he's looking at the MRI and he's telling me all this information. And you're just sort of like
I don't know, like it's just like a grocery list.
You don't even.
We got to do this. We got to cut that out. We're going to do it. I'm like, oh, wait. Like, this is my body. Like, what? Wait, say that again? What, you're going to cut? What?
Yeah, you go right into, I think it's I wish there was a better way for physicians and patients to communicate in a way that's palatable, because I do remember that you hear, I'm going to die. Right? But to answer your question, I put together a great team and I was very positive and I said things to myself like, I'm going to have a full recovery and I'm going to heal and everything's going to be okay. And I'm a very faithful person. So I prayed a lot. I prayed for the surgeon, prayed for my family, prayed for strength. But it was overwhelming. And I think like you, work was a therapeutic distraction. It just was. And I also tried not to think about it. I actually tried not to deal with it, even though I knew it was coming and I was very realistic. And there was like that feeling, in your stomach when you're laying in bed at night and then you're wondering, like, one of the risks of thyroid cancer is it's very close to the vocal cord. I could have lost my voice. That was work. I mean, I could only imagine what you went through, as a man and confidence and all that. I tried not to lean into that. And that inner dialogue, I tried to like shut that up. It wasn't easy, you know. And I I disconnected. You know, that's what we do. I disconnected from it until it was time, and then I figured this is what I got to do. I got to go and get my thyroid, get my neck cut open. Like, can I get something good while I'm going into the OR, checking into the hospital as a cancer patient? That's when it hit me, because you're like, whoa, this is really scary. And you know, I had to fight for it. Like, I had to fight through it because I got stuff to do.
Yeah, you know? That's right. I just remember thinking, I'm way too young to let this stop me. There's so many things I still want to accomplish, things that I want to do. And definitely has been, you know, it's moments like that have defined my life and have given me the motivation to really go out there in life and just suck the great things out of it and not worry so much about like what people are going to think of me if I do something or if I screw up or whatever, because life's too short.
And you've been so vocal about it and helped so many people. And, you know, it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's shit that's going to come along and floor you. And, you know, it's just, I'm pretty realistic and I'm pretty like transparent in how I approach things and deal with things. And, you know, I'm not always strong. You know, I guide a lot of women through these transformation experiences and try to give people permission to become unraveled and to not carry the weight of the world. And we're not always strong, right? And having to work and have your game face on while you're on a show. And like, I get it. I was doing 5 shows. Just squeeze it into a little box. Until surgery time.
But it's amazing what you've been able to put together and accomplish. You've authored 2 books.
Thank you.
What are the names of your books?
So the first book was The Naked Mom, which was a journey, just a year of completely allowing my life and my opinion to be an open book as a young mom, not a seasoned mom, about life and love and starting over. So The Naked Mom is just a real peek inside, a very uncensored, the good, the bad, the worst moments of motherhood, the best parts, my failures, my triumphs. It's funny, we were talking about this earlier before we went live. I look back now and I go, oh my God, did I really think that? But it's, you know, from the voice of a young mom. And what I hope the book gives other women and other moms is the freedom to just, I keep trying not to curse on your show, but the freedom to just F it up, you know?
Yeah.
Because there's always going to be somebody doing it better than you. I remember as a young mom, I'm also the CEO of a parenting website, Modern Mom. There's always somebody doing it perfect and someone doing it better than you and someone telling you exactly how to do it. And so I was just like, if I'm going to write and I'm going to blog, this was at the time when, you know, blogging was just sort of coming up. I was like, I'm just going to tell it like it is. I'm going to tell all of it. Not everybody does that in our business. So that was that. And then the second book, I can't take a lot of credit for. I contributed to a Chicken Soup for the Soul book called Less is More. And my bit was really about the joys of less. And that was a very important book, a collection of stories written by a lot of different people about learning how, for me, it was learning how to say no more so that I could say yes to the things I wanted to do. Learning how to have less stuff, less things so that I could make room for more of what I wanted. And it wasn't about material stuff. But with a family and so many kids, people often asked me, how do I manage that work and the family balance? And I think I said no a lot. I think my social life wasn't very good, but I learned how to say no so that I could say yes to the things that I wanted to do and do that without guilt. And I've learned that as a woman, that I don't feel obligated, not in a mean way, but I just don't feel obligated to do everything. And I want people to have that strength where it's okay to say no. It's okay to say to your friend, you know what, I would love to see you, but I'm exhausted. I'm with my kids tonight. Or that sounds like so much fun. I'm going to put my PJs on. I'm tapped. I need to be really strong tomorrow. I have a stressful week. Or instead of, you know, when you're younger, you're going, you're running. You're like, I don't feel like doing this. Oh, babe, we got to go here. Oh, this is the last thing I want to do is drive to Hollywood. And now I don't know. I just say no nicely. Right.
It's whenever I have said, okay, fine, I'll do it. I show up and I'm always just like, you're half the version that you would be if you were able to be fully present. And so even if
you're probably good at that.
I mean, I try to, but I've learned to say no more now than ever, just because my life has gotten like tenfold more busy, and it's difficult. But I think the important thing is by saying no to someone else, you're saying yes to yourself, and that's not something I always felt I was worthy enough, or I was worthy enough of doing for myself. And that's one of the biggest lessons that I've learned through another thing I've learned through my acting journey. One of my first acting teachers, she just drilled into us, you've got to honor yourself first, because if you're going to walk out onto the stage and you want to be able to have people want to listen to you and be able to be taken on this journey with you that you want to take them on by telling this story, you've got to show up your best self. You've got to show up having taken damn good care of yourself, because people can tell when you don't take care of yourself, when you don't respect yourself, and when you don't value yourself enough. People can tell that right away. So first and foremost, she was like, you've got to start setting your boundaries, protecting your boundaries, and take better care of yourself.
It's hard to do that. I'm really big on that. And, guilt-free, me time, creating that space. I used to think, and I wrote about this in my book, that being last on the totem pole was where I was living. I was doing pretty well there. I had kids, animals, men, a man. I just thought that's just how it is. It's a very American philosophy, I think. Yeah. It was actually Florence Henderson. We worked together on Dancing with the Stars. Such a powerful woman. I mean, and, she contributed to my book, and she sat down with me and she was like, Brooke, and she has a boatload of kids. She was so sexy. She was so vibrant. She was so sensual. Really? She was so experienced. Yeah.
Brady?
I know. You feel like America's mom. She was so sexy and alive. And we had so many intimate conversations that would blow your mind. But she said to me, and I will never forget it. I don't want to misquote. I think she had 5 kids, not 4. But I remember her saying, you have to be first on the totem pole. Because she was getting ready to support my book, right? And I was dead set on this concept that I had. And I was like, what? She said, that is the only way that I've managed my life and my career happily. And she said, I'm first. I come first. And I was like, whoa, that sounds so like selfish, so narcissistic. What a concept like for an American woman. She said, I'm first. I'm a better mother. I'm a better lover. I'm a better actress. I'm a better friend. And I was like, what if, like, I literally, and like to hearing that, and I had so much respect for her. And I would say that to women, like, what if you just entertained the thought that, what if you put yourself first and loved yourself enough to make yourself a priority? What if? And I made a pivot, like a big time pivot in my life. And I had to change my whole point of view. And I still live like that. And it's not a selfish act. It's just about survival and about what you said, boundaries, wisdom, creating room so that I can be who I need to be for all of the things I need to be, So I really, I'll never forget that piece of advice. I hadn't thought about that for a long time. Yeah.
It's so counterintuitive, because you think, well, I'm doing all this for you, and I'm doing this, and I'm doing this. And people can tell when you're not taking care of yourself, you're not valuing your needs, and it makes them disrespect you subconsciously. People don't even realize it. And we want to be around people who value themselves, because in a way it gives us permission then to be able to do the same thing. So that's counterintuitively, it is, if it actually, you end up getting what you want by taking care of yourself and putting yourself first.
It's a hard lesson, but I
know it is.
Really,
It's
and there was a one of the leaders at my children's school when they were young. I remember sitting in this boardroom with a bunch of parents, and the head of school said, anything you do for your children that they can do for themselves, you're giving them a disservice. And we're like, what do you mean? They're like, if they come to school and they forgot their lunch, they won't starve. We're like, what? Because all those moms are like going to rearrange the day, and they're going to go home and they get sandwich. They show up at school and it's raining, and they leave their jacket in the car, and you're in carpool, you leave. And we're like, well, they're going to get wet. They're going to get. They go, you leave. Well, they are. And I never forgot that. And I'd say that to parents. And I'm like, every single thing you do for them that they could do for themselves, you're handicapping your children.
I love
and
that.
there's such tough love in my house. And I wasn't that way as a new mom, and I wasn't that way with the little one. Now my son's a baby. He's like a little prince. But for most of the time with my kids, I'm like, we raise each other. You get up, and they're not like teenagers, well, they are, they're 13 now, but you get up and make yourself your breakfast and some lunch. And I'm driving you because I love you, but you got to show up and help out. And, so all these things.
Sounds like you're a great mom.
No, thanks. I try. Ask them. I don't know if they'd say that.
Well, of course. I mean, they're your kids. They're going to be like, Mom. So you also have this app called Brooke Burke Body. Tell us about that.
So when fitness kind of digitized many years ago, fitness was such a big part of my life. And I thought, if I can teach people around the globe how to work out with me, with the knowledge that I have, decades of knowledge of working with great people, I think this would be a great act of service for me to connect with women and men around the globe. And it was such an interesting time on social media. So I was putting stuff up on the stories and getting some great feedback and figuring out how to create this sort of digital gym, no equipment, using office chairs, using a sofa at home, using water bottles, working out on the road. I mean, we're in a hotel room, we're doing things. Would I love to go take an hour class? Yeah. Do I have time to drive in LA traffic for an hour? No. I mean, So I just figured out, as I was getting older, my body was changing, how to target tone, how to sculpt certain areas, how to hit all the trouble areas. And I had a DVD deal with Sony. And instead of, my first round, I hired all the fitness models who are perfection and they can do everything. And it was amazing. And then my second round, I was like, I want to hire real women and I want to see if this program really works. And I want to train them and I want to work with them. And so I did that. It was an amazing experience. It was so cool. When I finished that, they said, well, can we keep working out together? I finished the choreography. I finished the DVDs. And I was like, I never really thought about that. And I was working on TV and I was like, that's kind of weird. I'm not a fitness instructor, but you know what? Yeah, like we've all really enjoyed this and grown for this. So then I started teaching classes in Malibu for free, like at different gyms. And I built this community of women who supported one another. I started this booty burn class that was very like booty centric, lifting, toning, sculpting, working all the trouble areas. It was so fun. We would crank up the music. Men would come too. And I started showing people how to carve out their core and how to have some fun and how to check their ambitions at the door, and started watching women like become emotional and get their mojo back and realize that they hadn't found anything that they loved doing. And so it really started out as an experiment. And then I decided to create this app, and I started 3 years ago, and I spent about a year after ABC just producing content. And you and I know we're on these huge productions. I have figured out a very lean and mean team in my backyard how to produce beautiful videos and record them all and put them up on an app. And so since then, we've done live streams this season in COVID. At my backyard, I've opened up to all the women in my community, COVID safe, vitamin D, Mother Nature.
Yeah, amazing.
I've become a little bit of a hippie. I do my sound bowls and I teach breath work. But the most important thing is as the world starts to change and we want to get back to whatever normal is, I think we've learned how we spend our time and who we spend it with and how to take care of ourselves, whether it's, your nutrition, what you put in your body, taking a walk, getting your heart rate up, like whatever it is that's going to keep us healthy and give us a long life and create energy. I figured out how to do all that at home. And so this app is for all different levels. Even my mom could do it, men and women. I have family fitness. I have partner workouts, really sexy yoga that you can do with partner workouts. Tons of like the easy stuff is like the booty and the abs. I could teach people how to get in shape all day long, but it's very mindful. Awesome. So there's a lot of, just letting go and breathing and being still and checking in with your body. And the booty, the carving, the hot girl summer, like, okay, we could do that all day long. But what I really want to do is show people how to feel good and how to take care of themselves and how to make themselves a commitment. So I've loved it. I had no idea 3 years ago it would become what it is now. And we're on all TV platforms now. And it's really fun. There's a great community of, supportive women, some men. And I love it. Like I love it so much to connect with people in that way and to guide people through that journey and just to show people like what it feels like to get their confidence back and change their inner dialogue and just be healthy, like here.
Yeah.
As much as the rest of their body.
Yeah, it's so important. And what I find fascinating is that you are a certified breath work.
Yeah. You're like, what's that?
Oh, yeah. And as an actor, you know, acting teachers, and I'm sure you
have to do it.
I mean, this is something that one of my, you know, all my acting teachers, we would do breath work in class. I'm like, what are we doing here? This breath work. Come on, let's get up and I want to do a scene. And I've discovered that has been one of the key factors in just alleviating my stress before auditions, before shooting whatever scene, you know, on a film or TV set, really focusing on just deep breathing. What is being a certified breathwork teacher? And is there something that you can share with us that we could do right now to help?
And I said the same thing. What the hell is that? The first time I went to a class, I thought I was going to like this yoga class. But I want to go back to what you said real quick, because you know that feeling when you have fear or you're upset, or you're stuck and you can't get air in your lower belly, and you're like kind of blocked. And
like
people who are listening and don't really understand the value of breath, if you're upset or something's off, and you know sometimes you like, it's like a short breath. I used to take a deep breath before I would step onto the live stage, even working, where I'd be like, why am I doing this crazy live television? If I couldn't get air in my lower belly, I wasn't quite all in my body. And so I really believe that there are moments of stillness and quiet where we begin to understand the language of our soul, our heart. I won't get too gooey with you, but sometimes just slowing down to breathe will reset you. And breath work is, we hear a lot about it from Wim Hof. I have an amazing guru who guided me, John Paul Crimini, and it changed my life. I was going through a difficult period of time, transitioning through divorce, struggling with one of my oldest daughters. I was in pain inside, functioning, but I was like really blocked. And it taught me how to release. It taught me how to really connect with feelings, because feelings are meant to be felt, right? We don't always feel them because it's way easier to just roll through life. Like, just keep on going, just keep on trucking.
Yeah.
But when we start to breathe really deep, and breath work, I take people on a journey through music. You lay down. I would love to do it with you. I would love to do it with your audience. Some people are doing them from Zoom. So maybe one day we meet again and we do it. But you lay down and you listen to my words, and you really don't have to know anything or do anything. You're just breathing, but you're breathing in such a pattern that you stop thinking. And when you stop thinking, we start feeling. And when we can do that, we start listening and sometimes remembering, sometimes discovering. So I'm really big on that.
I would love to do that. We have to do that. We'd love to do
it. And we can't do it here because it's a whole, like you're laying down and it's in your belly and you're like 2 breaths in and 1 breath out. It's one of the most, they say it's equivalent to 1,000 hours of therapy. And I'm going to say, that's a big, like we would have saved ourselves a lot of money. I'm going to say with conviction that it's equivalent to 100 hours of therapy and that the work is undeniable. And even during COVID, not getting up in the morning and rushing off somewhere, to lay still and to take some breaths and to listen to your body and to go inward is so valuable and so underrated. I mean, right? Like we have to slow down enough in life. I think that's what this year has done. Slow down, just stop, figure out what you're doing, who you're doing it with, why you're doing it.
Yeah.
Just listen. And that's hard.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I loved what you said. When you stop thinking, you start feeling.
Yeah.
So huge.
Yeah. So I'd love to do that with you. We'll do that.
Yeah.
I will give you that when you're ready, when we can.
That would be great. Shannon Murray is asking, what's involved in your retreats and are you going to be resuming those?
Gosh, I want to resume them so much. Post-COVID, yes. The retreats have been very transformative about remembering who we once were, tapping into the woman behind the scenes. A lot of people come to me for physical transformation. I really mean it when I say that's the easy part, but it's really also about setting goals, tapping into your personal toolbox so you can crush them, guiding women through a process of discovery. A lot of it's nutrition and physical based, but the best part of the work for me is very spiritual, very emotional, a lot of visualizing vision books, yoga. We spend like 3 or 4 days together. It's so fun. And then COVID happened.
Yeah.
But we're getting there. We'll get back at it.
No, you definitely have to put those. So many people in my Inspire community would love to do something like that. So
yeah, and I love what you're doing too. And even these like 10-day processes, like sometimes we need short-term goals, right?
Yeah.
And we need to just prioritize our needs, and we need to actually give ourselves room to set goals. Like I tell people all the time, like make wishes, make lots of wishes. Some people don't even give themselves room to make wishes. Like tomorrow's a full moon. Right? Tomorrow's a full moon, like manifesting moon. Like what a beautiful time. You have to make wishes and be goofy and and take chances and like set a goal. Like I was looking at like this whole 10-day thing, like small little steps, right? We're gonna change the world, like like just little by little by little, right?
Yep.
It's really important.
Yep. And Elisa Bricky and Sharon are asking, what's your legacy and what is your future dreams?
God, these are big questions.
Yeah.
Community is like making me think. I love the depth of this. My legacy, I don't know yet. I mean, I work so hard and I'm so passionate about raising my family and raising important, conscious, powerful people and guiding them with love. And I get it wrong a lot. I just want to keep growing. I want them just to know that like I was the best person that I possibly could be. And that changes. And I really give myself room to change. Like if I told you what my lifetime goals were now, I give myself room as a woman next season. It might be totally different. But my immediate goals are, I'm really passionate about the BB Body community. I'm passionate about working together and helping women discover. And it's so much more than fitness. And I do really believe that there's a movement right now of consciousness and finding things that feel good. And, I feel like our body is kind of like the vehicle, because it's easy. It's easier to sign up for that than to do a deep dive of, oh my God, you're going to scare me. Oh, I'm going to cry. Oh, this is going to be really hard. Oh, I'm going to remember. Oh, I got to deal with this. No one wants to do that.
Yeah.
You got to do it, but nobody really wants to do that. So I feel like it kind of starts in our spirit and I'm connecting all those dots. So I'm obsessed with that. I'm working a lot. I'm doing a lot of research right now on female embodiment, the polarity between masculine and feminine, like all this stuff, which you seem to be very well balanced, I have to say.
We just had our summit yesterday. We had talk about male and female energies, and it's
the time right now. I'd really like to experience that too. And it sounds like an amazing program, and it's important right now.
Yeah,
important right now, where everybody's trying to be something else, and there's this whole equality thing, and like it's very complicated time in our world right now. And I think it's a really important time to go inward and just to tap into that and learn and listen and strengthen all of the things that we already have inside of us, and break down those barriers. And it's a powerful time. Yeah, a fragile time, right?
Yeah, but I think you're right. I think more so now than ever. One of the biggest lessons that I've had to learn in life was just trust my intuition, trust what is best for me. Because growing up, I always thought, well, if they've been doing it longer than I have, whether it was acting agents or managers or whoever, and I knew in my gut, I had a feeling that it wasn't the right thing, but I was like, well, they've been doing it longer than I have. I'm going to listen to them. And
did you always know that?
What's that?
Did you always know that? Like, did someone teach you that?
No, I mean, I think we always have these kind of these intuition feelings. I think we just don't always listen to it. We don't trust our intuition. We're not encouraged to listen to our intuition, I think. And I think I was reading an article this week, and it was about a teacher who she taught in England, and then she went to go teach in the Netherlands. And she said the difference between the two was that in England, it was very regimented, down to like she had 5 minutes to describe the lesson plan. And then it was like she had to get into this and this and this and this. And most of her time after school and on weekends was grading assignments. And she said in the Netherlands, they weren't as micromanaged. They were like, okay, this is the subject matter. You teach it however you feel would be best for the class. And she said, I found myself having these longer discussions that would cultivate critical thinking, and where she said in England, we would never be able to do something like that because I had to get these certain lesson plans in. Whereas she said, what I realized the most important thing at an early age is for kids to develop these critical thinking skills, to learn how to have an opinion on something. Because
think about it, we weren't, I don't know about you, but people weren't talking to our generation. Like my mom was pretty emotional. My mom was pretty well-rounded, but I have friends who are English as well. And they're like, nobody talked to us about our feelings. And it's very cultural, right? So that's why I asked you how you knew that, as a young man, because we don't hear men that often also talk about intuition. And I really try to tell my children that, and this is like basic, like PG elementary school, things that feel bad right here, things that feel bad probably are bad. People that make you feel bad. I heard a rabbi, I was at a memorial the other day, and it was so interesting because he gave this profound service. And he was so brilliant and elegant. It was so complex. And then he stopped and he started talking to the children. And he broke it down in such basic language. And he said, people that make you feel bad, stay away from them. Don't have bad people. Like, think about how many people in our life that we keep. Workplace, okay, we're challenged. We have to manage a lot of things. Like, it's easier to just snap your fingers. But we have people in our lives, relationships, friends that are toxic, people in our workplace, people that we tolerate. Like, he just was like, kids, people that make you feel bad, don't be around them. Get rid of that. And I just was like, oh my, and I was watching.
As adults, we need to be reminded of that stuff.
Why didn't anybody tell us that? Yes. Something makes you, but that goes back to what you said about intuition. If something makes you feel bad, I want to know more about that. I want to be curious about that. And so I mean, these are basic things. It doesn't have to be so complicated.
Yeah.
I love complicated therapy, but intuition will kind of guide you and tell you everything, you need to know. I mean, it guided you through your career where it just sort of happened. And same with me. Or like, do you want to go to Spain? I was like, yeah. Saying yes, I'm your girl. Good. Let's go.
Sign me up.
So, I mean, these are basic principles, and people need to follow that. Just listen. Everything we need to know is inside of us, right?
Well, Brooke, I get an amazing feeling from you. And I so appreciate you being here, and so does everyone here, I'm sure. I would love to have you back. Would love to do the breath work stuff with you. So let's reconnect and we can schedule a time to do that. And
I would love to do that. I mean, we could experiment, and this was such a thoughtful interview. You reminded me of so many things. So anytime, and let's connect. And I'd like to learn more about what you're doing too, like in these summits. And, it's a time right now to feel good.
Yeah. Yeah. Would love for you to speak at the next one in October.
I'd love
That'd be awesome. So I want to ask you one last question. Yeah. What inspires you?
Well, I'm going to be goofy because I'm a little bit goofy, but love really inspires me. I'm in love with love. I want to be in love all the time. I want my children to choose love. I want to be more loving than I am sensible. And I know that's dangerous. So I'm being really honest right now. I want to be just alive, like passionately alive. And love comes in all different shapes and sizes. So I don't just mean, sensually. But I love my friends. I love the women that I work with. I'm mad about my children. I'm madly in love with my children. I love my man. I'm like that, like goofy, like lover.
That's amazing. I love it. And it's infectious. I mean, it's beautiful.
So love inspires me. Everybody should just find love, like in some way. Maybe it's in your garden, maybe it's, just whatever you do, like just do it with love. Find love. Like that feeling, like it manifests, right? Yep. I think.
Yep. And like I said, it's contagious. So you can tell. Brooke, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
You were an absolute joy and a pleasure to talk to, and love to do it again. So wish you all my best, and have a great rest of your week. And thanks everyone for being here tonight. And we'll talk to you soon, Brooke. Thank you. All right. another great episode, man. I'm a little bummed we are finishing up. This is our last episode for season 3, but we are going to be taking a break here. And just before we wrap up here, just want to say thank you so much to everyone who's made it another amazing season. Just loved what Brooke had to say about just showing up in life and not giving up, cultivating luck, and just being on purpose, putting yourself first. And I like what she said about loving yourself enough to make yourself a priority. Actually, Florence Henderson said that. And then another key one I think is really important to keep top of mind is don't do for your kids what they can do for themselves. I think that one is super, super key as well. So hopefully you guys got some great insight out of this interview, and we will see you guys in a few weeks for season 4. Thanks again for everyone who showed up at the Inspire Summit yesterday. And if you are wanting to participate in our post-show Coffee with Colin after this, you can join my Patreon community by going to patreon.com/Colin Egglesfield. And be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel so you don't miss out when we are going to be coming back for season 4. And have a great rest of your week. Have a great rest of great next few weeks ahead of you as we take our little break here. But thank you again for all you guys do. I can feel the love. I can feel the inspiration. And it keeps me going too. So